yourself, please.
I'm Sarah. I'm one of the co-founders here at Canny.
I'm Andrew. I work at Canny. And what do you want to know?
And what is Canny?
Canny is a feedback management platform. We help teams, usually software teams, figure out what they should build, how they should prioritize, how they can listen to their users, making sure that all user feedback is considered when they prioritize and decide what goes on their roadmap.
Canny is a user feedback tool. We help software teams build better products by keeping track of customer feedback and understanding what their users want most.
Tell me about Andrew.
He's just my co-founder and also my life partner. So we're partners in very many things. We were life partners before we were co-founders.
And tell me about Sarah.
Sarah's my co-founder. She's my life partner, not in that order. We met working at Facebook. She was a product designer and I was a software engineer. And along the way, we kind of figured out we were a pretty good team and said, hey, let's start a company together.
We met working at Facebook, so I just started my internship there and he started his full-time job there. And we met through mutual friends.
How did you know you would be good co-founders?
Well, we like to build little projects together. One time we did a hackathon, the two of us and three others, and we ended up winning the hackathon. It was in Las Vegas. It was kind of the big thing put on by AT&T, and our team ended up winning $45,000. And we're like, okay, maybe we're pretty good at throwing products together, and we should, do this full time.
We worked together on several projects before we did Canny together. Those included working on hackathons together, just quick projects, just side projects that we thought would be fun to work on. And I don't know, I think that's the best way to see how you work together and what your working relationship would be. I think it's especially nice coming from us being in a relationship because we already knew how to communicate, and we had already been through, fighting, so we knew how to communicate well, and that translated well to the work life.
What quality do you find crucial in a business partner?
Yeah, I think the reason Sarah and I work well together is because I'm a really good engineer and she's a really good product designer. And so, we're starting this company about user feedback, about building better products. It's important that we have a strong product team. If she was a really good salesperson, we could probably make that work too. But you need somebody who's really good at something that's relevant to the business, whether it's sales or marketing, product.
Yeah, I think communication is always that super important thing, and that differs for everyone. And so it's really finding that person that you communicate well with. And for me, Andrew is a good partner for that. In terms of skills, I think for us, why we work together so well is because we have complementary skills. I think it's pretty useless for co-founders to have the exact same skill set. And so we balance each other well in that regard. So yeah, I think it's complementary skills as well as really good communication skills is what works well for us.
And how do you make sure that work doesn't take over every conversation?
Yeah. I think she's better at that than I am. I really like talking about work. I can talk about work for hours and hours and hours. Have to talk about it, in the evening, weekends. I just enjoy talking about work. Why it's really fun to talk, even if you're not making any material progress. If you're just talking about it, I don't know. It's like therapeutic just to chat about it. But Sarah's not like that. It's very much like, okay, we've got 10 minutes to talk about work, and then we're not talking about work anymore. And so she's the one that maintains that balance.
How do you keep the relationship light and fun when business is bad?
I think we struggle with that. I think when the company is almost us, right? But especially when it's hard, when it's going bad, I think we just have to support each other more and understand that business is not always easy. Startups aren't easy, otherwise everyone would do them. And so yeah, I think we could do a better job of being light, but also I feel like we would be forcing it for ourselves, and so it's more about just kind of going through it together and supporting each other through it. Yeah.
Does one person have a final say in everything?
We've been asked that before. Does somebody, who's the number one decision maker? Who's the boss? Somebody have more equity so they can do whatever. It's no, we've managed to decide everything together. I don't know. It feels like we don't necessarily agree on everything, but I think it's that Jeff Bezos quote, disagree and commit. And it's okay, well, yeah, that might work. Let's try it. And it doesn't always work, sometimes we go down the right path for a bit and we figure it out and we're like, okay, yeah, you were right, let's go this way. I think you don't have to get every decision perfectly right, and yeah, we're able to come to very good decisions together and agree that we don't always see eye to eye, and it works out.
Not one person for everything. I think for us, there is stuff that one of us is more a domain expert in. So for example, Andrew is a software engineer, so obviously for him, he has the final say when it comes to engineering, anything engineering. I have a design background, so I have the final say in everything design. And then we kind of just made it work for everything else outside of that. I think, disagree and commit is something that we abide by. It's just, here's what I believe and why I think that's the right answer. Here's what you believe and why you think that's the right answer. And then we just kind of try to figure out which one we want to go with. And if it's wrong, and that's okay.
What do you love most about working with Sarah?
She's a really good designer. Very, very quickly, she can come up with a design that is like, top 99th percentile design that we can just ship. Like a lot of designers, I feel like have to iterate and you're like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it's like, well, two of those, we can't build that because that'd be way too hard to build. And it's also like, iteration takes a long time, but with Sarah, she's very good at just very quickly coming out with great design that an engineer can actually ship. And if there's any reason we can't ship it, push back, very easy to work with. Very easy to work with, to move fast. The velocity is, what helped us build our product and get off the ground in the early days.
I think there's just a lot of trust. I think I read about and hear about other companies where the co-founder relationship just falls apart because of something silly. And I feel like startups are so hard already that not being able to have that just deep trust with your partner is it makes it so hard. It makes it harder than it already is on its own. So I really appreciate that we were able to build that foundation before we jumped into business together. Like there's no conflict over equity or how we make decisions and stuff like that. That can make your relationship just sour. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
What makes your relationship work?
I mean, I think at the baseline we are fairly different, but also I feel like we have a lot of the same morals and what we believe in and what we want for the future. So I think that's that. As long as you have an overarching vision for what you want your life to be and what you want work to be, and you're all aligned on that, it doesn't really matter as much the day to day and how that works. So yeah, I think as long as we stay aligned on that and we stay open and transparent about that, that's what makes any relationship work.
There's this point in a relationship where somebody is a little bit cleaner than the other person, somebody wants to eat a little bit healthier, cook a little bit more, and the other person wants to do delivery a little bit more. And working through those differences and how you solve those differences is what makes a relationship easy. Because if you're going from that into fights, then that's going to cause a lot of stress, a lot of emotions. But if you're able to compromise and find middle ground, then you can be successful. And so I think conflict resolution, emotional maturity and intelligence is what really helps us be rock solid. And yeah, I think every couple has fights. We'll have a fight here and there every once in a while, or little things that bother us, but I think that's very normal. And overall, we're able to resolve a lot of stuff.
The big things, right? When do we want to retire? When do we want to have kids? Where do we want to live? Those kind of big things and things that we can point to and things that might have a checklist in order to get there. We both have an idea of what that is and what would take us to get there. So yeah, as long as we're all aligned on that, we agree on that. That's cool.
Do you do a review of your relationship?
No, we don't do a review of our relationship. Performance reviews are for work. I don't know if we need performance reviews in our life. I know some people do that. They're like, oh, we have a weekly scheduled one-on-one and we've got, OKRs or whatever. And I don't know. I mean, if something's bugging me, we'll chat about it. And then likewise, there's always when two people live together, they always have to figure out how to do that. But yeah, we don't do reviews of the relationship.
We don't do a formal review of a relationship. I feel like when it comes to reviews, it feels like work, so we try not to do that kind of stuff. But I also think that It's interesting to think about it that way, and I think we naturally do that when it comes to also milestones in our relationship, so anniversaries, stuff like that. And we do more of a reflection, what did you enjoy from this last year being together, and what could we do more of, that kind of thing. So yeah, something a little less formal.
If that's a big if, we don't have any plans on cashing out of Canny. I think I've thought about a lot about, what's our long-term plan or exit strategy. I always tell people when people are joining our company, like, we don't have an exit strategy. There's this company called ConvertKit, and what they have found is every 2 years they do like an equity round, a secondary sale, where they let founders or early employees sell a small amount of shares if they want to, sell some shares. And I think we might do the same model where instead we're planning on operating this company for the long term, and obviously getting people liquidity for their equity as much as we can. But yeah, I don't know, the cash out is kind of like, I love the team that we built. I love this company, and I don't want that.
Personally, I feel like I need a good long break, a good long, relaxing period of time after Canny. I think I've talked to Andrew about this before, and I could see him wanting to do something right away. And I'm not sure. I mean, I would definitely work with him again. I don't know if I need to do another company again. I think it's a lot the first time around. And yeah, so I'm not sure. But I would work with Andrew again, yes.
If you were to start this journey all over again, would you do anything differently?
It's hard to say. I think there are things that we learned from doing the company the first time that we probably do differently. I think we know what mistakes we've made and how to do less of those. And so hopefully, getting to where we are now would be a lot quicker if we were to do it a second time around. That said, I also feel like those are just things you have to learn as a founder. I think for me, when I try to read books or advice from other people, it doesn't really hit me until I feel it myself. So yeah, I think it's just with the experience, we would be able to shortcut certain things. I think especially for me when it comes to hiring and managing, and I think I feel like I am better at that than I was in day one. So yeah, it's mostly just learning from the experience and being able to do better than the first time.
One thing that immediately comes to mind is we didn't realize we were building a SaaS company. For a year and a half, we built a product that was about user feedback, but we didn't charge any money for it. And we weren't even focused on helping companies find user feedback from their users. We were focused on helping users get a platform to give feedback to companies. And obviously users aren't going to pay money for that. It's the companies that are going to pay money. And so I think just thinking about the business side faster, thinking about, making money and growing the business is super important, especially as a bootstrap company. Like if you're not raising money, it's got to come from somewhere, right? And so that's going to be your customers. And yeah, we've learned a ton about marketing and sales and SaaS and pricing and all that over the years. And I wish we had dove into all that sooner. I think we could do such a better job at, early marketing and sales and stuff from what we've learned.
And I started a business with my significant other.
Okay, you want to sit?
Sure. I think the reason it worked for us is because we both have our own skill to bring to the company. Like Sarah's a product designer, I'm a software engineer, and so obviously we're building a software product, and having a product designer and a software engineer, we can build a really good product. Whereas if she was like an architect or something, it's like, what are you bringing to the table here? So that's super important.
I think for me, it's communication, like how you guys communicate. If you have learned how to argue and how to have disagreements, I think that's really important. And if you haven't, it's something to figure out, because it's always, you're going to have disagreements every day. And that's important to know how to resolve and not have emotions be a part of it.
Yeah, you got to get in your groove. You got to find this is work time. This is, non-work time, playtime, how we communicate at work together. Pretty professional, kind of like business partners would, but then outside of work we're a couple, and it's not like business partners. And so yeah,
at the end of the day, you're gonna figure it out as you go, and if you have a good foundation to begin with, you'll just figure that out.